Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have y'all in on the program with us tonight. And hopefully we're going to work through a few difficulties here. We're going to give y'all time to come on into the chat. I know we're running a few minutes late right here, but y'all bear with us just a minute. Chad, how you been doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good. How about you, Stacy?
Man, hey, I've been well. I can't say I've been on the road running today because you said you don't feel sorry for me.
Not a lick.
Because we've been traveling, covering a few miles a day, guys. We do have Bob in with us today. I don't know how we're gonna get this to work. Maybe y'all can hear him here in a few minutes. Bob, you still in with us?
Yep, sure am. How you guys doing tonight?
Man, Bob, we are doing fine. We are doing great, man. Give us a few minutes here, Bob, and we're going to see if we can get some, as our chat comes in. Guys, if y'all come into the chat, I want to let y'all know if y'all hear us good, and I want you to know, y'all hear Bob good? We got the Cabelas King Cat Tournament Director in the show with us tonight. We couldn't get him here on live, but we do have him in with us on this program, so maybe we can ask him questions tonight. We're going to get Bob to tell us a little bit about what's going on. Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself, man, before we get started.
Sure, no problem. Where do I start? Years ago, was pastor of a local church after I was working in the industry with Colgate Palmolive. Started working with a bunch of teenagers as a pastor. Ended up developing a residential treatment center for at-risk youth. And that got so big, we went ahead and resigned our position as pastor and started to do that full time. Out of that, we've been able to grow a pretty large company that handles about 68 kids on a daily basis that live on our campus. Long story short, we built a whole brand new campus, and then during that, as we were building the teams, everybody was asking me what I was going to do when we got done with the building because the company was running pretty much by itself. And so we ended up finishing all the building projects, and so I decided to do some crappie fishing and started some local trails and then won a few of them and then went to a national trail. Been doing that for the past 5 years, and the opportunity came at the beginning of this year. I've been keeping track of the catfish as far as king cat goes for the last 2 or 3 years. Was noticing some of the problems that they were having and was trying to coach behind the scene. Opportunity came late January out of the blue. We was offered to buy it, so we went ahead and bought it after I thought everybody that I talked to told me not to. And so that's basically been the history to get us where we're at. It's kind of funny how God kind of directs your paths of what you're doing. And I've watched King Cat over the last 3 or 4 years, saw some of the disruptions that was going on in it. Felt like the anglers deserved a little better than what they were getting. And so when the opportunity came to pick it up, my son and I had some conversations about it with our CFO, and I thought for sure they would turn around and say, don't do it. But they all turned around and said they thought it would be a good move. And so we took it as wounded as it was and said, okay, can we bring the thing back to life? And what does it need? And what does the industry need? And the rest is history. We've been working hard every day to try to bring it back to, or bring it to a place that we think that the industry deserves it to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the journey. That's probably the last 25 years journey in about, 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, yes, sir. Hey, let me hold on just 1 second right here a minute, Bob. Mark, can y'all hear the ones that's tuned in? Can y'all hear everything just fine? If y'all can.
They're giving us some thumbs up. They said it's loud and clear. Sounds good.
Okay. Bob, this is your first year with King Cat. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Well, tell us a little bit about how this year went, man.
Well, this year we realized that we were picking up something that was wounded. And we knew that going into it, that it had lost its integrity and just did not take care of the anglers the way it needed to. And it was basically, I don't know if it was anyone's fault. I think it just became something that wasn't important to the people that owned it. And it just began to get mismanaged in ways that it shouldn't. So when we looked at it, we realized that we were going to have to bring some integrity back to it rather quickly. and that we were going to have to do what we say we were going to do. And, you know, my son asked me after we had bought it, he said, what's your biggest fear? And I said, we're going to show up in Clarksville and no one's going to be there. And we put a lot of energy into it. And our first tournament, I think we had about 30 boats show up. And at that point, it was like, okay, we can do this. And so what we've been doing now is just trying to build the relationships with anglers that have given us a shot. That's kind of, you know, given us a little bit of let's see what he can do. And we've been trying to do our best to do what we say and say what we do. And try to build what I envision to be a true national trail that will be worthy to fish in the future. And so each week we've kind of just tried to identify our customers and take care of our customers.
Yes. Well, Bob, I want to say this, man, because you know, King Cat is one of them. It's got a name to it, man. It's been one of the first things that I ever seen come out on the scene that had anything to do with catfish. And I reckon King Cat had that, and I think Bass Pro had something at one time. But King Cat's had a long name, you know, of being in this industry, sort of being some of the first ones that's doing catfish trails. And Wayne Reed, you know Wayne Reed. Wayne Reed talks highly about you, man. He's and everybody that I've talked to this year, man, has really a lot of high compliments to say about what you have done with this trail just in a year's time of turning it around, man. And I see that from what I hear, y'all got a bright future.
Well, you know, I appreciate the kind words. People like Wayne that really has, you know, we've been trying to listen to the anglers. You learn from your mistakes, even though they were not our mistakes. We needed to kind of take responsibility for them and realize that it's a journey. Our decision moving into it was to put a 3-year investment of time, energy, and money into the trail and see if we could get it back. If you would have told me we would have had the success that we've had this year in the first year, when we started in February, I would have probably said, no, I don't think so. And I know that the industry determines how many boats you have at your tournaments as success. We don't look at that. Of course, you want numbers because you want the payouts to be bigger for the anglers that's there. But our customer base is more important than anything else. And the one thing about our customers, it's not just the anglers, but it's the city that supports. It's the sponsors that come on board. One of the things that we're bringing to the industry that I don't think's been put in as seriously as we are doing it, but we're bringing a full-blown TV show that's going to be on a Pursuit channel first and third quarter of next year. And we've been able to we're starting to do post-production on most of our shows now. And I can tell you that we really, really is pleased in how the TV shows are going to turn out. And I think that that's just something that really needs to be highlighted. There's a lot of TV shows out there, but there's not a lot of catfish shows.
Yeah.
And so we've really, one of the big decisions to make it was the fact that we've been doing TV for Crappie USA and for American Crappie Trail. And we've been doing TV. My son runs the production company, and that basically started as a side thing that we did for our residential, and made a couple phone calls and was like, let's get our feet wet in this thing. And we've done Legends of the Outdoors. And so I think we've got over 100 plus TV shows that's been on the Pursuit channel in the last 3.5 years.
Now, Bob, let me ask you this. Now, the TV, the TV production stuff, is that going to be made up from the catfish tournament with the anglers that are present there in the catfish tournaments that y'all putting on?
Correct. This year, what we're doing is we're highlighting the individual anglers. So we'll have 4 segments. One segment's going to be about the city where we're in, the waterway that's there and what's available to them. Of course, the city's paying for it to be there, you know. And then the second of all, it's going to be talking about different anglers. We're going to be putting in what's called a Catfish 101, which we're going to have tips and tricks for catfishing. And then the last segment is basically going to be the weigh-in. And then what we've done is that whoever wins the points race for Angler of the Year, they will have their own episode. And the people that win, or the team that wins the Classic, will have their own episode also.
Well, hey, guys, so y'all hear this. If you fishing, this will start next year, ain't that right, Bob?
Well, we've already filmed this year 13 shows. Next year, we're looking at 26.
Well, so if you're involved in the Cabelas King Cat tournaments, there's going to be a great opportunity for you to be on the Pursuit channel, and if you are the points leader, you will have a own episode of yourself. Is that correct for you to yourself? And if you're the Classic champion,
if you're the national champion, you'll have your own episode also, where we're going to feature you for the whole 30 minutes of the show.
Wow. Well, that you can't. Hey, that right there would be good. That's an attraction in itself.
Sure. And keep in mind, catfish is, it's an industry that's incredible, but it's nothing without the anglers. And if we can tell the story of the anglers and get that out to the public, it's a win-win. We're anticipating anywhere between, again, we don't have any data because there's no catfish show that's out there, but through other data resources and stuff we've looked at, we're anticipating that we're going to see probably somewhere between 400 and 800,000 views.
Yes, sir.
Per episode for the first year.
Well, Bob, I'm going to tell you this from an angler's point of view. I know a lot of people in the catfishing industry, that, man, they fish a lot of tournaments. They're really good at this. And they're some of them is trying to make something out of it, that they can one day fish for a living doing this. But the only way I see that it happening is some kind of production where they're on a TV where they can now have leverage to for sponsors that, hey, if you sponsor us, we got national advertisement that we can give to you. And I say I don't know about, there may be another way that you know about, but I see that this is the way for this to happen, because for you to drop money upon somebody, you want your product and that name to be branded out there. So it ain't just a couple people on Facebook Live looking at it, but it's people all across the nation that's being able to see it.
Right. One of our goals for the TV show, which our goals is a little different than the tournament trail, but our goals for the TV show is basically to educate, to entertain, and to really drive home conserve, and we want to educate the average fisherman out there that doesn't have the time or the energy or the money to do tournaments, but we want to educate them. We want to entertain the people that are actually doing the tournament, so we want to entertain them also and give them the light that they need for their sponsors. And then we want to conserve. We want to make sure that we are highlighting the water, what we do to make the waterway better, how we keep the fish going in the area, and really, really put a lot of focus on health of the fish and what we're trying to do for that fishery and identify with it. We probably will not be able to accomplish this in 23, but in 24, as we bring new sponsors in, what we're trying to do is get them to adopt or to take on one of the teams that normally would not have a national sponsor. And so then what we can do is we can say, okay, if you come on, you need to take a team that's going to be sponsored. We're kind of keeping track of, with Facebook and things like that, those people that we can put into a pot that we could give to the sponsors. And then that team would wear their gear. So then when we go film them, they're getting free advertisement that they normally wouldn't get. And so instead of saying, okay, advertisers or sponsors, we want you to pay us X amount of dollars, we're saying we want you to pay us a little less, but we want you to take on a new team, and we will put their garb and your equipment on their boat, and then we'll highlight that during it. So we're trying to bring the sponsors not just through the TV show to the industry, but we're trying to bring bigger sponsors to the individual people and the anglers of the individual teams that we have.
Yes, sir.
And so long term, I believe that we can accomplish that. We still need another year Our live feeds, we put a tremendous amount of time and energy and money into our live feeds. I think we have 4 different camera shots on our live feed. We're getting ready to go to 5. We're setting it up for 2023 to be just like a live TV show. And we've invested a lot of money into that product because eventually what we're going to do is we're then going to use local sponsorships. So let's say that we move into Sheffield, Alabama. Before we get there, we'll go get local smaller sponsors and we will highlight them during the live feed.
Yes.
And so paying the bigger money for the TV shot, they can pay $50 and get their information out for the live feed.
Yeah.
And then turns around to go back into payouts to the anglers.
Chad, Chad, do you have any questions on your side? Do you have can you see the Facebook chat?
Yeah, I'm watching it. Everybody that's commenting is being really, really positive about Bob. That anybody that's met him said, hey, he's a great guy. He's doing things the right way. The stuff that I heard, to me, this is what it's going to take to move catfishing and tournaments to the next level. I can see where, if you have the national exposure, you're on, a publicly broadcast TV show, you can go to those sponsors and say, hey, I'm looking for sponsorships, but it's going to take more than a free pack of hooks to get your name on my boat.
Yeah. Hey,
right.
Bob, I want to go back to something else here because this is probably what a lot of tournament anglers, especially when you get up into this caliber of tournament fishing. And one thing that I noticed with you, and do y'all have a guaranteed payout regardless of on what y'all got, or what is that payout on these tournaments? Because they always seem to be pretty high what y'all have.
Well, this year we didn't do a guaranteed payout. But what we ended up doing, I guess internally, we knew that we were going to pay X amount of dollars out no matter how many boats showed up.
Yes.
Now, the last 3 tournaments that we did go with a guaranteed payout. I think it was $4,000 for first place, but we even upped that and went, I think, $5,000 for first place on the last 2 tournaments that we had. Let me talk a little bit about my feeling on, when it comes to tournament. One of the things that we're doing that we started this year was we were going to do a 100% payback. And what we do is at the captain's meeting, we tell exactly how many, teams we have and the exact money that we put out, and because that's what the money that we put in, and we break it down on how we're going to pay it out. Almost at every tournament, and I think one, we upped it. All the payouts we upped. So I think we paid out, and don't quote me, I think we paid out like 125% of money that brought in for our payouts this year, just knowing that our boat numbers would probably be on the low side just because people were watching us from a distance. And so we wanted to make sure that the anglers felt like they were cared for. So we upped it. We made the investment right off the bat, put some budgets together. We're really pushing more of a business model. With my experience in business, I always come back to the business model of everything that you do. And I look at success differently than probably the industry looks at success. And it comes down to the fact that if we do 100% payback and I can get sponsors to come on board and we get the cities that want to bring us in because we're offering TV. And that's one of the things that really drove us home with the schedule we've got next year, is that a lot of the cities saw what we were doing with TV, and most cities will require what's called heads in the beds. And the CVBs and the convention visitor bureaus, they want people coming from out of town and visiting their cities because they want exposure. So what we did with TV was we said, we're bringing the TV show in this year. We're not charging you a dime for the TV show. We'll make the investment. And what it did was it took the pressure off this first year of getting heads in the beds. And so they're getting success because we're probably going to see 400,000 to 500,000 views on one show that's going to highlight their city. And that justified them bringing us in, even though we're I won't say probably, we've lost money on every tournament this year, but we realize that we have a 3-year deal here before we can, with the way the TV works, is TV will pay you a year after you film. So you have to come up with the cash flow to present and to get your team in there and to pay for all your expenses. And then you hope that it's a success, that you can sell your sponsorship for the next year. And then that money usually comes in second or third quarter of the following year. So if you don't have deep pockets of where, and I'm not rich by any means, but we was in a position as a business that we could set aside and kind of fund this thing until we can see the benefits of the TV show. Then in directly what we want to do is we want to then start putting the city money back into payouts. And our goal right now is to have the highest payouts with the lowest entry fees. That's our goal. And I can't guarantee it, but we're looking right now at maybe possibly guaranteeing $10,000 first place to every tournament next year. I'm not there yet, but I'm close.
Hey,
and
that right there is a head turner.
Yeah.
Yes, because what I've seen and what I noticed is a lot of these guys that's serious about tournament fishing, that's what causes them to travel to go fish a tournament, is the chance to win. Instead of a couple $100, they win a couple thousand. Now, Bob, one other thing that I want, because one of the things I've always respected about the King Cat tournament trail is different than anything else that's out there right now, because most of the tournament trails that's out there now is most of them are subject to a certain area. But King Cat's not like that. King Cat is it goes all over. I know probably at least it looks like half of the United States fishing all kind of different bodies of water. And tell a little bit about that and where all y'all fish at.
Well, our tournament trail this year is we're not going to go to a regional district setup, but I am going to go to a district area. And so what we've done is we basically are starting to bust up the United States into different districts. And what we're doing is we're highlighting a certain area, and then we're drawing a circle. We're trying to keep it within 500 miles, and eventually we would like to do 5 events within 500 miles. 400 miles would be the perfect case. And right now we're establishing 4 districts. Next year we'll have 5 districts. And then what we're doing for a capital improvement right now is we've already put in an order for new trailers and new trucks for next year. In 2024, we're planning right now to have equipment and teams in each district, and they'll basically operate those districts. Now, you can fish anywhere in the United States if you want, but if you just can't afford to travel and you want to fish your district, then we're going to be able to set you up where you can qualify, for the classic through your district.
Yeah. Well, I did notice, and I talked to you the other day. I had been on your website and looked at, because in the previous years, I have never done a lot of tournament fishing because it's just so hard for me to make a turnaround. And I like to try to keep it within a certain amount of hours traveling, that when the tournament's over, I'd like to be home before midnight or around midnight. Right. And what I did look at this year is when I looked at the Cabelas trail for next year, y'all got some tournaments around New Orleans. Ain't that correct?
Yep.
And so I'm going to think you're going to have a couple, maybe. I know you got one at least in North Alabama on the Tennessee River. And you had one over there in Mississippi and fished the Mississippi River. I think it was a 2-day tournament. So when I looked at that, I'm this may be something that I could work out, that I could even make could fish enough tournaments to try to qualify for, the points championship, because in the last couple of years, there's been no way I could do it, because I could get to 1 or 2 tournaments in that time period. But after that, they were so far off, I couldn't do it. But I did notice that, hey, and if this is the way it's going to be, this right here is a good opportunity for everyone.
Well, our goal, and again, by 2024, our goal right now is to have 5 districts and at least 5 events in each district. And the team that I've got right now, we've been developing the team and working the bugs out this year. I've got some really good folks that's working for us. God has really blessed us. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't even thinking about owning a catfish trail. The first person that called me after they heard that we had bought it asked me what I knew about catfishing. And so I told him, I said, well, I hear that they're really good with tartar sauce. They knew if they should take me serious or not, but I was dead serious at that time. No, really, it comes back to the fact that I've really got a passion for youth and for a generation that misses what I grew up with. And my Uncle Bill, I never knew my father. My mother died when I was very young. I was raised by my grandmother. And my Uncle Bill would always take me on Saturday night and Friday night catfishing.
Yes, sir.
And those memories meant so much to me. And so we're really trying to focus on how do we get new people in the industry. My goal is not to get the same, I want people to fish our tournaments. But if we're not bringing new folks into the tournament trail, then we have failed.
Yes, sir.
And everything that we're trying to do right now is to get a new group of people in. When we went and we flew out to Mississippi and met with Mississippi at the beginning of the year, in Richland, Mississippi, and that 2-day challenge is going to be something that hasn't been done in the industry that I know of. And we're going to have 2 different bodies of water. One's going to be fished on Friday, and the next one's going to be fished on Saturday. And then we're going to crown the champion after those 2 days. And the same thing, we weren't even looking at New Orleans. We weren't looking at Louisiana. And Louisiana has come on big time. We have 4 events in Louisiana. And so that Mississippi, Louisiana has turned out to be a district by itself. Again, I don't expect everybody to travel to that, but our goal is to get more local and really find out what the local clubs are doing. How do we support the local clubs? If I can get the local clubs to come out to us and we give some exposures on the TV show, then when we're leaving something behind. We're not just taking.
Yes,
we're leaving something behind. And so we're going to try to get a little more involved with the local clubs as we come in and give them some direction as far as TV stuff goes. Get them on the live feed, do some interviewing, try to get some exposure to what's going on to that area. And we've got some other things that we're planning on trying to get more attention to the local clubs as we leave the area.
Yes, sir. Chad, have you seen any more Pacific questions maybe?
Yeah. We got quite a few. Eric Fowler asked, is each tournament a qualifier for the big event at the end of the year, or is it a point system?
For this year, well, last year, let me talk about that a little bit because that's been a little bit of a Achilles heel for us this year. When we bought King Cat, there was already paperwork that was out there that I didn't know about. And so we've had a hard time without changing the rules of what we've done for the Classic this year. Last year, before I took over, if you sneezed, you basically qualified for the Classic. It's tougher if you sneeze and if you cough, you qualify. We are determined that you're going to have to fish your way into the Classic, but we're going to try to make it fair that you don't have to travel to Louisiana to make the Classic. Again, this year, if you were in the top 50 and then we had the bump down, so basically if you fished the King Cat, you are eligible to fish the Classic. Next year, we're going to change that a little bit and make it a little more difficult to get into the Classic just because we're working hard to make that a really huge, big event. So to answer the question the long way is that next year we're looking at, you will have to fish so many of the tournaments to qualify. We're not sure what that number is going to be. It could be 4, it could be 5. Or if you finish in the top 5 of our tournaments, you're automatically there. There will still be a bump down for those that have qualified ahead of time. And then we're also looking at maybe some other options of getting in, which would be associate clubs that want to be part of what we're doing. But next year, they're going to have to at least fish 1. If they're part of an affiliated club, they're going to have to fish at least 1 King Cat to qualify for Classic.
So there'll be a number of tournaments that y'all haven't agreed on yet that they'll have to fish, but if they also, if they place in the top 5, they'll be automatically qualified if they fish just one tournament or 2 tournaments. Is that correct? Or
correct?
Yes,
so
sir.
They finish in the top 5 of one event.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Hey, well, let's move on right here for a minute, Bob. Y'all got a big event coming up. Y'all got a classic coming up.
We do. We have a classic coming up in Decatur next weekend. Not going to say that it's not my first classic because it's my first classic that we held. So we're in the middle of trying to get it completely done and work all the things out. We're going to be, we're still in the middle of signing up people. And so if you've qualified, you want to at least get the information that you're coming so I can order food, make sure we have enough food that's there. From 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we'll be doing registration. 6 o'clock will be a captain's meeting with a meal. And then we'll start fishing at 6:30 on Friday and end at 3 o'clock, lines out at 3 o'clock. What we've been letting everybody do, and we'll probably do here also, is that you can put in the water before 5 o'clock, but you can't leave the ramp until 5. You cannot start fishing until 6:30.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to crown a national champion this year that's going to receive approximately $44,000 for a low boat and Mercury motor package. And then we got cash that's going out, like second place, $6,500, third place, $5,500, fourth place is going to be $4,000, fifth place is going to be $3,000, sixth place $2,000, seventh place is $1,000, eighth place $900, ninth place is $800, 10th place is $700. Then we have a big fish that's sponsored in by Anvil Rods at $1,000, and we have a second big fish that's sponsored in for $500 from Jinko Fishing.
Wow!
And that's just for the classic. And then the points race, we've already determined who won the points. That was Joe and Demetrius. And man, I just lost their last name in my head. And they won the $44,000 boat package for that. Second place in Angler of the Year is going to get $3,000. Third place is $2,000. Fourth place is $1,000, and fifth place is $500. I think total with the boats and the cash is out, we're at like 120,000, something like that.
Wow.
So it's been a good year. It's been one of those learning years, trying to learn the industry. I'm cutting my teeth pretty quick on some stuff. But I think we've got a pretty good idea. Next year, we're going to have our first Sweet 16 tournament, which is going to be on January 26th through the 28th. This year, it's going to be in Manning, South Carolina, which is, and what that's going to do is the top 16 in points is going to be competing on a 3-day tournament. And that starts this year. So next year, anybody that's fishing our tournament, they're going to want to keep track of the Sweet 16 because it's kind of the Super Bowl of what we want to do. The Classic's important to crown the national championship, but the Sweet 16 is going to be almost like the Super Bowl. And we're going to be doing a playoff bracket system where we're going to feed them each night. The Sweet 16, the 16 top teams and the points is going to come in. It's going to be free of charge to them. There's no entry fee. They're going to be fed on Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night. We're going to have a captain's meeting each night. The first night, we're going to pull one name out of the hat, and then we'll pull a second name out of the hat, and those two people will compete on day one. And we'll do that. So we'll have 8 different competitions going on for day one. On day 2, when we come together, that second meal, we'll have 8 that's been eliminated from the Sweet 16, and we'll have 8. We'll zero out the score as far as the weight goes, and we will pull names again on day 2. Joe will compete against Sam, and then we will get down to day 3, which will be left with 4. Here's the neat thing of what we're going to do. On the second day, everyone's going to be fishing for big fish, including the ones that are still trying to get the championship Saturday. And right now we're working to try to make a big payout. I'm trying to get $5,000 right now for big fish. So even the loser bracket will be able to fish for decent money on day 2. They will just be fishing for one big fish while the 8 is trying to figure out where the top 4 is going to come from.
So,
and go ahead.
No, so Bob, on this format, the top 16 teams. So if me and Chad had made the top 16 on that first day, if you pull my name out and his name out, I would compete just totally against him for that day. Is that correct?
That's it.
And ever who wins that, there should be 8 teams left, and that will be repeated again for the next day.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Until we get down to the top 4, and then the top 4 will compete against each other for Championship Sunday.
The Championship Sunday, it'll be 4 teams competing against each other.
Right. I mean Saturday. Championship Saturday, there'll be 4 teams competing against each other, and the 12 will be competing for one spot on the last day. So all 3 days, everybody will be fishing for different prizes.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah. So even the guys who got beat out on day 1 will be able to continue to fish, but they will not be competing for the prizes of the people who won on day 1 and continues to move on.
Correct. They will just be competing on day 2 for big fish.
Oh yeah, I like it.
And what we're doing is it's going to be free of charge. So we're working right now with sponsors to get the housing covered, their entry fee covered, and their food covered. So when you make the Sweet 16, it's basically you're coming and you're fishing, and you're going to pay for your fuel and how to get there. Yeah. And then we're still working on the payouts of what's going to happen with the Sweet 16, but I'm doing my best to really make the payout special for the championship. We haven't got that completely worked out, but if we get blessed enough, what I want to do is the top 4. First place would be 10,000. Second place would be 8,000. Third place would be 6,000. Fourth place would be 4,000. And then the champion of the loser bracket would get 2,000. And then we would have the $5,000 big fish. So we're looking at about $32,000 just in payouts for the Sweet 16. Right. We want the Sweet 16 to be something that someone chases, and we want to show our appreciation, because more likely the Sweet 16 has put a huge amount of money out to fish our tournament trail, and we want to reward them by saying we acknowledge how much money you've put out. I know how much money it takes to do a tournament trail because I've chased them for 5 years, and I'm not interested in a gift card that pays me $1,000 when I put 40 grand out.
Yes, sir.
And so, again, I haven't got that all put together yet. That's my hope that we will be able to get that sponsored in one way or another, and that we can make the Sweet 16. And then we're going to do that every year. That will kick off our year. Our Sweet 16 will kick off our year to start. And what we're doing now is we're negotiating for 24 and 25 for different areas in the United States. Plus, the Sweet 16 will have a 2-episode show on the Pursuit channel the following year.
Yeah. Hey, now, Bob, let me ask you this. So, when did the Sweet 16 that will start in 2023?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're going to have our first Sweet 16 in 2023 in January, based off of the top 16 that we fished with us this year.
I got you. And that'll be the same thing for next year. It'll be in January at the end of everything.
Correct.
And hey, guys, I just want to share this with y'all because I think this format here is wonderful if you in this points race, because not only is it competing against to be the best, but even the guys who do not make the first cut, it does not knock them out of the whole tournament. They can continue to fish, but just not for that first and second and third and fourth place prizes. So that's a good thing, because you know, you take the 16 teams that's driving up there and they done drove and got so much money invested just in gas and loot and get knocked down the first day and you go home, you're like, oh man, that's a bummer. But with this format, you still left there, hey, we still got a chance to win some money. We still got a chance to win something, even though we had a bad day on the first day, you know?
And one of the things that we're doing is we're not keeping any money. Sponsorships come in, it goes directly to the angler. Like, I give you an example. I wanted to get the big fish up for every tournament to $1,000. So I reached out to some of our sponsors and they said, what do you want? And I said, I want more money for the anglers. And Anvil Rods came on board real big time and said, what do you want? And I said, I want $1,000. I'm not going to pocket any of the money. It's going to go directly to the angler. And they came on board with it. And then Genco Fishing, which has absolutely nothing to do with catfishing, but they've sponsored me for years, said that they believed in what we were doing. He said, what do you need? I said, I want second big fish, $500. I'm going to give it to the angler. And so we're looking at making money. And again, you got to make money in what you're doing. You don't want to just break even. And I want to take care of my people that are working so hard. But we believe that the money that we can make off of the TV show will cover our expenses. I mean, I don't have to make – the neat thing about this, Stacy, is that God's blessed me in a way that I don't need this to put food on my table.
Yes, sir.
I don't need it to support me in any way. And so it allows me to look at this differently and say, okay, how can we invest into the anglers that the anglers deserve it? And I believe that if you take care of the anglers, they'll take care of you.
Yes,
and,
sir.
You know, I would love to see the Sweet 16 be a $50,000 payout, you know, in the next couple of years with a $15,000 big fish on day 2. And there's no reason why we can't get there. You know, and again, we want to do low entry fees, high payout. To do that is you have to sell the brand and you have to get sponsorships to believe in the brand and know that, you know, I don't want my sponsors to come on board thinking I'm pocketing the money. If they know that the money's going back to the anglers, that's an easier sell because I'm not putting it in my pocket.
Yes,
so it gives opportunity.
Hey, well, hang on just one second.
But if I can, let me just share a little bit about the Signature Series for next year. Can I do that?
Yeah, go ahead. We want to hear it all.
The Signature Series is a new program that we're putting in place. And what we're doing is that we're going to open it up to 50 teams, what we would consider to be the elite teams of tournament fishing. They're going to have to buy their way into it. More likely, it'll be $2,000 to buy into it. And then that money that's put in, that $100,000, will be paid out to the winners of that points race. And what we're going to do is that if you join the Signature Series, you'll be the elite. You will still can fish all of our tournaments, but we're going to have 7 of our tournaments that's going to be called Signature Lakes. And what's going to do is that when you fish that Signature Lake, your points, if you're a part of the Signature Series, will go, and you'll start adding your points up on each of those lakes that you fish. And then at the end, you have to fish 5. We'll take the best of your 5 out of the 7. They're going to be scattered across the United States, so we'll have different types of fishing, different types of water, and then that all that money, that $100,000, is going to go back to the payouts of that signature team that wins, or possibly the top 5 is what we're looking at. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a sponsor that will double the payout. And I'm not there yet, but I'm still working on it. Where if the anglers raise the 100,000, then I'll get a sponsor that would try to double it at $200,000. And then at that point, we can look at maybe paying down 25 people of a 50-boat race. And they still have to enter the tournament like they normally would. They can compete for the win, but on those signature lakes, they're going to get their points. It's going to go to the signature points. Here's the fun part. The last tournament of the Signature Series will be double points. So anytime during the year, if you have a bad tournament and you don't do good on your points, if you fish that last tournament, you could still win it all.
Wow.
Hey, Stacy. Everybody says it's freezing up. You may have to, I don't know. I'm not real sure what's going on.
Well, maybe I'm losing a little bit. I don't know what's going on right here. We're fixing to get ready to wrap it up anyhow. Yeah, we've been on here. Bob, is there anything else, man, we need to cover before we get off of here?
I don't think so. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share the vision of what we want to do. You know, we appreciate you coming on board with SmackDown for next year. And, you know, we need everybody to kind of catch the vision of what we're doing and start talking about it and give us more ideas and be patient with us when we try to, you know, when we make mistakes. And we're just trying to do it the right way moving forward is all we're trying to do.
Yes, sir. Hey, I wanted to throw my 2 cents worth in because I seen Robert Thomas post something on here a while ago. He said that, let me get back to this, Chad. He said
him and Churchville going to have to fish some of them.
I'm going to just say this. Not that the competition ain't already tough, already there, but I think I'm going to throw my hat in this race right here.
Well, me and my partner was just talking the other day about maybe not fishing so many local tournaments and kind of moving up. And, you know, this is stuff like Bob's doing is going to be what it takes to take catfishing to the next level.
Yeah, and
for the people that want to grow and do this is what there's now a series and a tournament trail for them to be able to accomplish that with things like what Bob's doing with King Cat and the Mega Buck stuff. And, you know, there's going to be an opportunity for people that want to make a name for themselves to be able to do that.
Yeah. Bob, I want to, man, my hat's off to you, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And hey,
yeah.
I pray that this here goes very well because this right here is a great idea, and I think this is what this industry needs.
Well, again, you're only as strong as your staff is, and God has blessed us with an incredible staff that we're going to be splitting off, and they're going to be developing their own teams. And you can't do it without teamwork. You can't do it without the anglers. You can't do it without the city. You gotta just go and take care of your customer. I'm a firm believer. I think it was the owner of Chick-fil-A that was coming under great competition, and he kind of threw his hand down and he made a statement. He said this. He said one thing. He said, I don't want to get bigger. I want to get better. And if we get better, our customer will demand us to get bigger. And I've kind of used that my whole life. And my goal is not to get bigger. My goal is to get better and to take care of the people that are there. And they'll demand us to get bigger. And it'll grow the way it needs to grow.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I commend Bob, man. I mean, he took a tournament trail that was, I mean, they had taken some blows, man. Cabelas,
yeah, they have.
You know,
good things is coming. Good things is coming.
I mean, he's doing the right things and making some changes that, you know, the one thing that left me made the biggest impact on me is, you know, he said, I'm doing this for the anglers. I want to take care of the anglers. And as long as he has that philosophy, this trail could explode.
Yes, it could. Well, Chad, we fixing to jump off of here. I know we had some problems right here at the end trying to freeze up. Bob, man, so great to have you in here this program with us tonight, man.
Thank you so much. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to hearing what you guys say every week, and we appreciate you being there doing what you guys do.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, God bless you, man, and God bless your vision here.
I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Guys, we're fixing to jump over here this afternoon. I hate for the little bit of problem we had with the thing freezing up. Like somebody said, yes, I do live out in the boondocks. And we do have some weather coming through. So, guys, y'all have a great afternoon, and we will see y'all again next week. Y'all pay attention. Stay tuned in for the King Cat. You can go to their website, Cabelas King Cat. They do have some of their schedule already up for 2023, and you can tell a little bit about what's going on. I think there's going to be some more tournaments that's going to be added to that, but I'm not positively sure about that, but I think that there is. So, guys, God bless y'all, and y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.